everyone and welcome. You're here today with Andy Valkyrie Divine, and today we're moving on to day 2 of the Third Eye Chakra, or Ajna or Anya. And so today we're going to be discussing what are some of the imbalances that can manifest themselves in regards to this chakra. So we're going to talk a little bit about the deficiencies that can happen here, and also the excesses that can happen here. And I'd like to mention that in terms of the higher chakras, so like the third eye, the crown, it gets more and more difficult to really ascertain the imbalances, and that's because we're really starting to delve into the mental realm, right? And the mental realm is not as easily observable and as easily palpable, I should say, as the behaviors that we can actually observe and see in the lower chakras. And so we have to, we have to be delicate when we try to assess what the imbalances are and how they manifest themselves. And I'd also like to start by putting in a little note, just like I did with some of the other centers when we were discussing that sometimes we have like societal, like cultural biases and societal skepticism when it comes to the higher realms, intuition, psychic abilities. All of these things are not very highly regarded, or they're regarded with a lot of skepticism. My cat's here again. She says hi. And so for this matter, we want to try to make sure that we put that aside, and so that it doesn't actually come in the way of us really being able to explore the imbalances. So I just wanted to put that out there, just because we're highly incredulous as a society of intuition, and we don't act on intuition. We act on or we value logic and analysis and scientific process and all these kinds of things, and we tend to forget a lot about that we do have an intuitive side, and that we do have a this kind of clear cognizance that we speak of when in regards to our cognition and our thoughts, and this intuitive feeling or sensing that we do have, and that is our third eye that we refer to. And it's literally just seeing beyond what is really just physically there in front of you. So I'll go back to that in a minute. So I'll start by talking a little bit about let's see, which one should I start with? I'll start with the deficient side of things. So when we're looking at the deficiencies in this chakra, it has to do a lot with the fact that we can't see clearly. So there's an idea of this lack of clarity. There's a skewed perception of reality, so that whatever reality you're perceiving, you're not really perceiving it in a clear and organized fashion, or it's somehow skewed or distorted from what really is there. Now, there's also a tendency to be insensitive, and again, it doesn't happen necessarily at the conscious level. It's just that the insensitivity comes from the fact that the person experiencing a deficiency in this chakra will be very oblivious to everything that's happening all around them, right? So if they're not seeing clear, if they're not really perceiving as they should, what ends up happening is they become oblivious, and as you become oblivious of all the things happening around you, somehow that may be perceived as the person being insensitive, right? So it's those people that can't interpret details and cues in the environment. It's those people that can't take a hint. You have to sort of like take them by the hand and be like, look, like, how can you not see this? Like, literally, are you blind? And it has to do with the eyes, and it has to do with the third eye, that their intuition is not really like they have an inability to see past what is right there in front of them, right? So they're just limited to that to that reality that is right there, and that's it. So they cannot see past. And remember, yesterday I was saying how the third eye is all about seeing past the limits of the space and time, which we are in. So it's really going beyond into a different level than just the physical level, the 3D dimension that is limited by space and time. So we're really going beyond that into the realm of thoughts and higher intuition and higher consciousness altogether. Let's see. Another thing is that a person who is deficient in this chakra will have trouble with understanding or going through an imaginative process. They don't really have that imaginative ability to visualize and to really see in their mind's eye. Even dreams or goals or things like that are hard to come by because they have a hard time really picturing it in their mind. What do they want? What do they, what are they seeing? What are they visualizing? And because of that, at the same time, sometimes it's hard to plan ahead because of that. So another thing that I wanted to touch on is that it's hard to take decisions, right? So if you can't really see ahead, if you can't anticipate, remember yesterday I was talking about seeing the consequences in the future, right? Based on a certain behavior or action that you take, you can anticipate ahead of time what's going to happen. And so people that are experiencing a deficiency in this chakra are having a much harder time with this, and it's all that idea of the executive functioning, of planning ahead, of taking decisions or making decisions. They don't see clear, they don't have that ability, so it's really, really hard for them to go through the process. Another thing that can happen is, at the physical level, they might have poor vision, so they might have trouble with their eyes, with their sinuses. They might get headaches, a lot of headaches, because they're not clear. Their head is constantly sort of going and going. Poor memory, right? So yesterday we were talking about how the third eye is the information command center, and it gets all of this information in, and part of it has to do with memory. So with memory, we store the information. We want to pull it back again, so we're trying to recollect the information. We're accessing the information, interpreting the information. All of this. How can I put it, editing of information, whatever that may be, happens at the level of the head, of the brain, of the of the third eye, of the, like I said, this idea of executive function, of memory, of all of these things. And so what ends up happening is, here a person might be experiencing poor memory. They don't really remember. Again, they're not clear. And so the idea is that they don't see well, they're not clear in their vision, they're not clear in their mind, not clear in their memory, not clear in their ability to make decisions. So those are some of the elements there. Just gonna see if I forgot anything. So another thing, just again, the disconnect from intuition. So because they're not really intuitive, they really have a hard time. Their intuition is low. They feel kind of scattered. The focus element is not there, and again, they're very limited to just what is immediately right there in front of them. So I think that kind of covers the deficient side of the spectrum. Now, if we're looking at the excessive side of the spectrum, there's a couple of things there, and I'll address them one by one. I'm actually going to start by reading a little paragraph here from the book. So again, the same book I use. So it's The Sevenfold Journey, and so here it says that an excess in the chakra number 6 would appear as aberrant psychism, paranoid fantasies, nightmares, hallucinations, and an inability to sort out appropriate responses to intuitive material. I'll address that in a minute. So it says, an example would be someone who picks up on a friend's anger, assumes it is directed towards herself, and acts accordingly without checking it out first. Using communication to verify psychic intuition helps to ground it in reality. Ooh, okay. So one thing that they discuss here is this idea of having this overactive mind. So there's a lot of running of input of information. So there's a lot of information coming in, and there's so much that it becomes sort of like a rich fantasy. It's no longer grounded in reality, but it becomes like a skewed fantasy or a distorted picture of reality, almost like a hallucination. So that's what they were saying here. What did they say? Paranoid fantasies, nightmares, hallucinations. So people who experience nightmares, again, we're talking about dreams. Dreams were a part of yesterday's conversation, and so nightmares are the sort of the negative aspect of dreams. And so people that experience nightmares typically are the ones that have this overactive third eye, and so there's so much information that is being absorbed, and there's so much input coming in that it's like an information overload. And the way that the mind deals with that is to actually create a scenario in the head that gets expressed as a nightmare as the person sleeps. So that's the way that the mind actually deals with that information overload that's coming in. And also, again, another thing I had mentioned was headaches. Sometimes people may get headaches because there's just too much going on, and they just cannot process it. So, there's just that idea of like fuzziness in the head, and I'm getting headaches just because there's too much going on. Let's see. Okay. I think I've got it covered, guys. There's a lot of stuff here too, just like there was yesterday, because it's such a rich center, and there's so much going on, again, because we're talking about memory, we're talking about decision, we're talking about dreams, intuition, seeing clear, all of these things. And so there's a lot going on. I'm very excited for tomorrow, and tomorrow we're going to be discussing what how can we balance the center? So what tools do we have to balance the center? Whether it's in the deficient side of things or in the excessive side of things. What crystals do we use? Today I actually put up my my amethyst. I have this nice piece here. I'll show it to you guys tomorrow. And I got my little bling bling on, and still my purple scarf because I don't own any purple clothes. So obviously purple would be a color to wear for tomorrow. And of course, anytime you'd like to balance your third eye. So I'll address more of that tomorrow, guys. For today, I think I've got it covered. I know there's a lot to take in, and I gave you a lot yesterday too. I had a really long video, so I'm going to cut this one short for now, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow. So take care. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys. Blessings.